What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Red Shirts Remastered. I am Chris. Today, there's some news about the MCU and the next Spider-Man movie and some casting. And it seems that Sadie Sink of Stranger Things will be joining the next Spider-Man movie. Now, Sadie Sink plays Max in the Stranger Things series, the new season, I believe, coming this summer. It'll be interesting to see what character she could play. The rumors and the fan castings all want Jean Grey as a character. There is also some people who think she could be another version of MJ, because this MJ we have is not Mary Jane Watson. So it'll be interesting to see, maybe a multiversal MJ. We'll see. But Deadline was the first to break it. They got an exclusive with production set to start later this year on the next installment in the Spider-Man franchise series. Star Tom Holland looks to have found a new co-star, one who is no stranger. Good job there, Deadline, to popular IP. Sources tell Deadline that Stranger Things star Sadie Sink is set to join the sequel from Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios. Holland is already set to return as Peter Parker. And as you remember in the last Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, his memory, the memory of everybody is wiped, so they don't remember who he is, that he's Spider-Man. They don't know who he is at all. So his MJ doesn't know who he is. Ned doesn't know who he is. Only Doctor Strange knows who he is. Aunt May's dead. So it'll be interesting to see who Sadie Sink is playing. The direct did a good job of giving us some characters that she could be playing. So thank you to the direct for already putting this together. We got Jean Grey, obviously, as we talked about. This is the prevailing theory is that she'll come on as Jean Grey, kicking off the new X-Men, joining the MCU, according to what the direct is saying. It would be interesting because, they had Ms. Marvel and uncovering her latent X gene and turning her into a mutant. So it could be that, Jean Grey is still young enough that she doesn't know she's a mutant yet. Her X gene hasn't activated. There could be some sort of event that happens in an after credit scene or during the movie where it's activated and she gets her powers, unwillingly. Who knows? Kevin Feige has kind of let us down a little bit. A lot of people are calling for his head, but I think it should be a decent casting, especially if she's Jean Grey. They'll figure out a good way to bring it in. For those of you who haven't seen the new Captain America, Brave New World, they definitely bring in some elements of, hey, the X-Men are coming, mutants are coming, because spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert! The big old Celestial is adamantium. So made out of adamantium. So that's the key, the connection. So maybe this could be another connection with Jean Grey. We also have, again, another version of an MJ, Mary Jane Watson, that we could have a different. Michelle Jones took on the MJ nickname, but she's not Mary Jane Watson. So maybe Mary Jane Watson could come in. Again, no one knows who Peter is. He's going and meeting new people probably. He's probably J. Jonah Jameson doesn't know who he is. Patrick and I were talking about this earlier. So he could go get a job at the Bugle easily, start becoming that Peter Parker that we know from comics and cartoons in the 90s. And then MJ, this Mary Jane, comes along and it's Mary Jane Watson. And he's like, oh, another MJ. And then he, starts to realize that this is the MJ that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. Which I would love that idea. I love that story. Sadie Sink, to me, as soon as I look at her for casting, this is the casting. Mary Jane Watson is the casting I think of for Sadie Sink. Would love it. She's got that spunk. She's got that sass. She's got that toughness that she's shown as Max. So I think maybe that's why they're looking at her to be some sort of alpha character, like a Mary Jane Watson, like a Jean Grey. unfortunately, the Fox X-Men verse turned Jean Grey into a little bit of a bitch. So unfortunately, we didn't get a great Jean Grey on screen. And then the same thing with Sophie Turner. Not a fan of her Jean Grey. A little whiny. The Dark Phoenix movie, we won't even get into that. So yeah. And then there's talk she could be Gwen Stacy. And Spider Gwen. But I don't know. Why turn her blonde? Why turn her blonde? I don't know. Black Cat could be an interesting one. Felicia Hardy. But again, why turn her blonde? Felicia Hardy's traditionally a blonde character. But she's got the silver wig and everything that she puts on. And I don't know. And she eventually, for those of you who don't know the comics and the cartoon and everything, she gets the super soldier serum and can transform and turn into Black Cat. Her hair turns silver and everything. So maybe, I don't know, Kitty Pryde, okay, perhaps. Again, that'd be an obscure X-Men to start with, that rather than Jean. Sink is 22, so they're saying it could line up better with the age thing. But again, what if it was a young Jean and they're just trying to make the latency of that latent X-Men gene come in a little later in life? Traditionally we see it come in with puberty, but it's also something that's supposed to kick in with stress. And I mean, during puberty, you're not all that stressed. Sure, your body is a little bit, but when you hit your early 20s and you're starting to get out into the real world, stress really kicks in. And so I feel like that would be an interesting thing for them to do, use young adults. And that's how, although they did have Kamala Khan, who's younger and a teenager, have it come out in her. But that also had to do a little bit with the bangles that she was wearing. Kitty Pryde, interesting choice. Loved the character. Really liked the rendition they did of her. Now Elliot Page in the Fox X-Men verse. Yeah. Now Elliot Page. I can't even remember his name from when he was a woman. So, hey, that's good on me, I guess. He's able to secure his identity. Anyway, moving on. But that's how I think that Jean Grey could be a perfect choice, because I think they might go with that route. A more well-known X-Men for the general public rather than someone like Kitty Pryde, who is Shadowcat. But Firestar is an interesting one because the red hair does match, does connect with Spider-Man. Looks like in the 80s animated series, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, she became a part of Spider-Man's team. Although she was originally created for TV, she later appeared in Marvel Comics as a member of various superhero teams, including the X-Men and Avengers. So, Angelica Jones, that Firestar, I don't see them again going with such an obscure character unless they are wanting to go a deep cut to the 80s cartoon. That could be a really interesting thing as well, is going to that 80s deep cut cartoon and Easter egg it. So I think she would be in my top 3 of choices to be obvious. I think because of the red hair. I don't want Sadie Sink to change her hair. I don't. So this Kitty Pryde, Black Cat, Gwen Stacy thing, while I think they're great, the direct is good for putting them in there because they're big characters in the Spider-Verse, except for Kitty Pryde, but she's the X-Men side of things that they want to kind of bring it in. I really think my top choices, 1, 2, and 3, would be Mary Jane Watson, Jean Grey, and then Firestar. I really think that Mary Jane Watson would be the best character for her, Sadie Sink, and knowing her acting skill and how she plays characters to play. So Mary Jane Watson, my number 1. Then Jean Grey, cool way to bring in the X-Men. And like I said, I like my idea of maybe making them sometimes a little older, and maybe with Kamala Khan, she putting on those bangles just accelerated it. And so it really shouldn't happen until someone's in their 20s when they're really stressed out and dealing with life. And so, Peter Parker now is just about to go to college. So Empire State University is where he ends up. That's probably where he's going to meet this MJ, get an internship at the at the Bugle. Patrick and I talked about then Betty Brant will show back up and get to know Peter a different way, because Betty Brant knew Peter as the high school friend and the best friend of her boyfriend for a summer because they loved each other, Betty and Ned. Who knows what is going to happen to Ned? Is Ned going to turn into Hobgoblin eventually and get brainwashed? Who knows? Again, Spider-Man 4, very, 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 very far away, I'm sure. I don't think it's coming. July 31st, 2026. Yeah, year and a half. We still got a while, guys. But that's not as far as I thought. So let's see here. They're saying building the Zendaya Spectre turned in a limited role because Doctor Strange's spell, which is good. I'm glad they're sticking to it. Based on her talents and past roles, hard not to picture her as potentially playing Felicia Hardy. Yeah, again, I don't want her to change her hair. That red hair is iconic for her, and that's why I really think it's Mary Jane or Jean Grey. I think Jean Grey would be better, but again, who knows? And they could make Black Cat be a redhead and then have her hair turn silver, or they could only introduce her with the silver hair, and maybe that's what they make her. I don't know. That's Felicia Hardy, though, so that's what there is. Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey, says the direct. That adds a unique twist to the introduction of the X-Men. Yes. Many believe that the X-Men film in the MCU, which is rumored to come out in 2027, would welcome a new recast roster to audiences. Until this, cameos from actors like Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, and other former stars would appear in Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret War. Yeah, we heard that a bunch of characters are going to show up in Secret Wars. It's going to reset everything. But then I don't think it's a good idea to bring in new, unknown X-Men. You need to bring in X-Men that are known. I think you need to bring back Colossus because he was a big part of the Deadpool franchise, and they didn't bring him into Deadpool and Wolverine except for in the apartment scenes. So I really think you need to bring Colossus as a member of the X-Men. I think it would be fantastic because he's in Deadpool's universe, and he could get involved in Secret Wars and get pulled back in. So very interesting. Again, we're going deep into this, but probably a little too deep than I want to right now. So let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about this casting? Do you think Sadie Sink is going to be Mary Jane, Jean Grey, Black Cat, Firestar, someone else? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure that you do hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you do know when we drop videos like these little snacks for you. Usually I do a full main course, but not enough news today to really do one, although some has kind of gathered up. So I thought I'd do a little snack on this. And make sure that you do hit that like button and share this video as well with all your friends so they can learn that Sadie Sink has been cast in the new Spider-Man movie, and you all can talk about who you think she is going to be cast as, either, in my opinion, Mary Jane Watson, Jean Grey, or Firestar. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one, and thanks for watching Red Shirts Remastered. Bye.